He's a brilliant guy, and he was a tremendous help, both in the campaign and in what he's done with Doge.
That was President Trump on Wednesday referring to Elon Musk, a special government employee, as if he's already gone, speaking of him in the past tense. Earlier this week, Musk told Tesla shareholders that he was ready to shift his focus away from the Trump-ordained Department of Government Efficiency, otherwise known as Doge, and return to his other business investments. This came as Tesla reported a 71% plunge in profits and a 9% decline in revenue compared to the same period last year. Musk originally promised to cut $2 trillion in federal spending annually, but he says he's delivered $150 billion in cuts. It's a fraction of that original number. Also, that claim has been riddled with errors and fuzzy claims and what look to be outright fabrications. And some of Doge's sweeping changes have been halted or reversed by the courts. So while Elon Musk is stepping back, Doge is not going anywhere. Musk has filled this new governing entity with many of his close allies, many who are new to Washington. And in just a few months, they have burrowed into government agencies at a very deep level. According to the New York Times, Musk installed roughly 60 allies. A handful have departed, but many remain in roles that are still murky and ever evolving. The Times also reports that those who remain have tried to gain entry to more than 80 data systems across at least 10 federal agencies. Joining me now is Brian Barrett. He's executive editor of News with Wired. He's going to help us understand what to expect from Doge now that Elon Musk is getting out of Dodge. Thanks so much for being with us. Musk is leaving, but Doge remains. Who's in charge? It's rather startling that people who hold some of the most sensitive information in government are a mystery to most people. Many people probably can't identify or name the people that are on screen right now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Who's in charge of Doge has been sort of one of the questions that we've tried very hard to answer ourselves, because they sort of intentionally obfuscate that, like they hide so many things. Elon Musk was not technically on paper in charge of Doge at all, even though he said that he was. Donald Trump said that he was. The person who is technically in charge of the U.S. Doge agency is Amy Gleason. She is the acting administrator of the group. She comes from the healthcare tech industry. But really the people that are actively doing the work every day across all of these agencies are, for the most part, associates of Elon Musk, former employees of Elon Musk's companies, people from that whole universe of Palantir, and which is founded by Peter Thiel, who's a Musk ally. It's this big network of people who all come from the same set of companies with the same set of objectives, and they all still owe something to Elon Musk as they go forward on their Doge project.
Now, we should say that Ms. Gleason does have a history in the federal government. She has worked in the previous Trump administration. But if you were interested in fiscal efficiency, if you were interested in trying to rein in spending, wouldn't you bring in accountants or people who have experience in Washington rather than an army of software engineers?
Yeah, you've got a diverse group of often young coders, basically, who are getting access to all of this data, doing who knows what with it in most cases. People who don't really understand what we've seen as a pattern of behavior where people get fired across the government who held critical jobs, and then they need to go try to get them back. At one point early in this process, they fired the people who were in charge of nuclear safety and had to try to get them back in the fold. It's been a very inefficient process so far. It continues to be, although I think it's more clear now that what they are doing with the data seems less to do with Musk right now and more to do with things like immigration and other sort of administration priorities.
So you've talked about, hiring and rehiring people. There have been a number of unintended consequences. According to the Partnership for Public Service, a nonprofit organization that studies the federal workforce and has used budget figures to produce a rough estimate that firings, rehirings, lost productivity, paid leave of thousands of workers will cost upward of $135 billion this fiscal year. That's not exactly savings. That seems to offset the alleged $150 billion in savings that Elon Musk is claiming.
It's so true. And what I also like to keep in mind is that there's an opportunity cost to all of this. The more research we cut from scientific studies, the more money we could take away from people who are trying to prevent the next pandemic, from people who are trying to improve food safety, people who are trying to improve healthcare outcomes. That's going to cost money down the line for America. It's going to cost us money when we are behind on AI, when we are behind on a cure for cancer. There are a lot of savings that these projects and research projects and groups and agencies that don't show up on the balance sheet right now, but would pay off for the next decade, 2 decades. That's where I'm worried about most. We're going to lose that momentum, and it's going to be hard to rebound from the cuts that have already happened.